Good morning and welcome to a very special day because this is the BMW M1000 RR and I've been wanting to ride this bike since I first heard about it way back. So we're at Donington Park. It's a little bit chilly, it's a bit of rain in the air, but hopefully we'll get some dry laps in and we'll see what this beautiful race beast can do. Let's do it! Welcome to Grandma's house. The track is still drying. We've been out briefly, but it's quite difficult to tell what's going on and go through the sort of details of the bike with a slightly... Kevin! Anyway, as I was saying, yeah, so it's quite difficult to tell some of the differences over the standard double R just at the moment. I can tell you it's bloody fast, too fast for these conditions. It feels very similar to the standard double R. We've obviously got the different M brakes. We've got a more adjustable shock here, apparently. I still need to find out the differences, if this is actually the standard shock on the base double R or not. But we've got lots of different linkage work in here, with ride height adjustment here. At the moment it's a bit soft, so I think we could do with a couple of clicks there. It's a bit bouncy as standard. But basically this bike, most of the work is inside. It's not really visible, apart from the wings obviously, which at the moment do appear to work. It doesn't wheelie as much on the straight. So yeah, that's all I can report at the moment really. Nothing much to say apart from I'm a jammy git. Yummy! It's a lovely little motorcycle. It's very fast and you can ride it actually quite easily, and it's got some really nice carbon fibre bits and some spangly bits. This is actually the competition pack, which has got the silver swing arm and some overly fancy rear sets and levers and carbon fibre bits. Acra exhaust is the same on this competition pack as it is on the standard M1000 RR, but it's a step up from the standard S1000 RR. I can't wait for motor bicycles, just to be named like cars, like the Rover or the Montego, rather than all these digits and numbers. Anyway, and yeah, it's a very... Is it a very pretty machine? I don't know if pretty is the word. It's definitely eye-catching. This is interesting, actually. So I don't know why manufacturers don't have like engine casing protectors as standard. This says BMW Motorrad, and it's a really good idea. Why do aftermarket companies need to get involved? Why don't just BMW do it? So that's nice. You can, if you really want to be a BMW fanboy, buy the tyre warmers and mats and stands and all sorts of clothing and hats and condoms and all sorts. But for me, I'd probably just take the standard one, the standard M1000 RR, if you're going to race it. Anyway, to the track! vampirish toilet. I think I could get a job in Twilight. So, how was that? I think from the inception and when we first saw this bike, to me it was pretty clear that it was all about race teams, and now having ridden it, I'm even more convinced it's all about that engine that's inside there to give to race teams, to give the S1000RR, M1000RR, whatever, to give that BMW the tunability, is that a word? For teams to go in there, have a fiddle, crank up the power and get the most out of it. I mean, it's proper peaky, that power. I mean, it has added an extra level of excitement to the S1000RR, which was maybe missing. But it's not a consumer product, it's not a consumer bike. And to be honest with you, this isn't the place to test it on a slightly drizzly track day at Donington Park. On road rubber, it comes on a very strange choice of tyre, which is a kind of fast road tyre, and that's what we've been riding out there today. And it's almost as if they've just put the tyres on because the race teams are going to get rid of it. You know, they've just put the suspension in because the race teams are going to get rid of it. And again, on suspension, it's a soft ride. I haven't ridden the standard non-electronic suspension S1000RR, but I believe it's pretty much the same as that. And in its base settings, it's quite a bouncy ride, and it just doesn't feel, that bike just at the moment in this setup on this day with those tyres on, it just doesn't feel like the razor sharp tool I thought it would. So let's go through the basics of the bike then. So engine, obviously we've spoken about it being a super duper internals engine. How does that translate onto the road or the track? It's definitely peakier. I think the electronics actually has, as in the traction and all that sort of stuff, has a harder time dealing with the peaky power. It's more revvy, and it's more buzzy. And I know people say S1000RRs give them vibration things, but anyway, it's a buzzy engine, it's revvy, it's peaky, and it's certainly exciting. However, the sort of the pain with it is that because it's a Euro 5 motorcycle, which it has to be, all the internals, all the exhaust have still got the cats and all that stuff, so it's not fueled as crisp and as nice as it should be. Again, race teams just going to rip that exhaust off and throw it in the bin, so can't really complain about that. Most bikes, most modern bikes, super bikes are the same. Massive power, it feels proper quick. Too quick almost for the tyres that it was on today. So then we've got brakes. These are, I believe, are Nissin or M calipers. Again, I don't know what pads are in it, but it feels, the initial bite was pretty good, but actually sort of approaching the corner, it felt like the power was just constant. It didn't have that extra bit of grunt. It felt a bit Japanese, the brakes. I don't know, Nissan's a Japanese brand, but it has that Japanese characteristic where you kind of feel like you just want a bit more as a safety net. The power's there, and the ABS system is still very good, but you just feel like maybe you want a little bit more. And then turn in, again, it feels like you're sat back at a bit, so it's a bit more low rider, like the forks I believe have actually been lengthened, and you can feel that on the bike. It feels like it's a bit sat higher, and the reason for that was the superbike guys were complaining it was endoing into corners, so they would lose braking performance, so they've raised the forks again. So superbike teams can put proper forks in there and make it amazing. So, but the result of that for mortals with a standard bike is that it rides quite, it's quite raked out. Is that the word? Raked out. So, and that just adds to the sort of, adds to the slight. It's not as razor sharp as I thought it'd be. It adds to the slight vagueness of the front end. But it's manageable. It's all manageable. And then I think the biggest issue for me was mid-corner, where, again, the tyres are not fit for that bike. I don't know what they're doing with those tyres on that bike, particularly here on a press test. It's really made the bike quite a lot worse, I think, than it should have been. Anyway, so mid-corner, the shock is way too soft as it is. It's like you're kind of wallowing around and bouncing around, trying to tame it the best you can, particularly at Donington. If you've ever ridden around here, the S's, massive bumps through there, and Adelaide hairpin, Adelaide, the Melbourne Loop, another Australian town. Penultimate corner, the last corner, massively bumpy through there as well. So I don't believe, it doesn't feel like more thought has been designed, and more thought has gone into making it better for today. That's what we can test it on, is today's ability. So corner exit, that's where it kind of thrives, this bike. You're sat back in it. Again, the electronics are fantastic, keeping you all nice and tidy. Again, we had a mixed weathers here, so it was proper slippery out there earlier on in the day. And the electronics coped as best they could on those tyres. So much the same as the old electronics package. I don't think much has changed in there, to be honest, in terms of traction and ABS and all that stuff. Still works exactly the same. And then, yeah, massive power down the straight. In fact, the straight's gone. It's like, it's over. It's so fast. And then you're back into the terrors of braking and turning. But yeah, so it's a homologated race bike packaged up in road bike form. So yes, I'm sure some wealthy customers will want to go and buy it, ride it down the bike cafe and have everyone look at your bike, and fair play to you, because it is a cool thing to have. But is it worth the extra for you and I over a normal S1000RR? I'm afraid I don't think it is, personally, and that's not a criticism of the bike, because it's not designed. I still don't believe it's designed. Its purpose isn't as a consumer vehicle. Its purpose is to allow race teams to tune the shit out of it and make it into a race-winning package. So if I had the choice between a standard S1000RR Sport and then the £35,000 competition pack M1000RR, I would definitely choose the lower spec model. I actually think, and again, I think it's less peaky, it's got more. I think most riders will ride the standard S1000RR much faster. So as a synopsis, who's going to buy this bike? I think wealthy collectors, people who like something special, they will buy it. But most of all, it's a race team that's going to buy it, and I don't think, yeah, as I said, I don't think it's a consumer bike, and I don't think we can test it as such. And I think this, again, COVID and all that nonsense has made it very difficult. Normally, we'd be in a sunny Jerez with, the international press team with all their special screwdrivers, making sure that the bikes ride correctly and faultlessly. It is worth mentioning faultlessly. One of them did pop an oil leak, so out of 4, one of them didn't finish the day. But again, you can't be too critical about that. Sometimes these things happen. But yeah, it's a race bike for race teams. Simple as that. So anyway, I'm off to Alton Park now to wobble round on a Super Twin.